It was clear that what most Americans would have considered a happy day was anything but happy for Carmen, and the reasons are rooted in our culture. First of all, when her manager sat down to have lunch with her and started making casual conversation, Carmen became very uncomfortable and didn't know how to react. That's because in our culture, we're very class conscious, and we consider people who are more educated than we are, people in positions of authority, and people on higher socioeconomic levels to be in a higher social class than we are. In Carmen's experience, people rarely crossed class lines, and a manager would never behave toward an employee in such a casual manner. She wouldn't speak to her in a familiar way, and she would never sit and eat lunch with her. We're also very formal and respectful, especially toward elders and people from higher social classes. We even have a formal form of our language that we use just for them. And to look them in the eye when we talk to them would be very rude. That's why Carmen tried so hard to avoid making eye contact with Lucy. You also probably noticed the differences in their communication styles. While most Americans tend to be direct, we're usually more subtle and we say a lot between the lines. We also try very hard to be diplomatic and will go to great lengths to avoid conflict and preserve harmony with other people. Another very important issue that came into play in the scene was that of gender roles. When Lucy offered Carmen a promotion, we might have expected Carmen to be very pleased. Instead, she was very distressed because she knew it would interfere with her responsibilities as a wife and homemaker. Although they're slowly beginning to change as more Latin women enter the workforce, the roles of men and women in our culture are much like they were in the traditional American household of 50 years ago. A man's first responsibility is to be the head of his family. That means being the decision maker and the breadwinner. And a woman's first responsibility is to her husband and her children, and her life is dedicated to taking care of them and making a home for them. Even though learning how to deal with all of these differences is difficult for us, they're all part of the acculturation process that all immigrants must go through. And for the chance to realize our dreams, we're more than happy to pay that price.